We'll get started with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmeelitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yadkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramanandamadavam Krishna
Yeah.
Chaitanya नमामो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्दा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीकिर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानादं कौनयाते परां गतिं वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसे जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदः प्राचेतसादासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्का भयङ्करं मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि आञ्जनेयमदिपाटनालनं काञ्चनाद्रिकमनीयविग्रहं पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि पवमाननन्दनं यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं भाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् जयत्राशतसन्त्रासध्वान्तविध्वांसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं श्रीराम नाम वरानने. Hare Krishna. So we are continuing our series of the Valmiki Ramayana, and currently we are in Yudha Kanda. And this is one of the final sections of the Valmiki Ramayana, but then it's not really the final section because after the Yudha Kanda, we also have Uttarakanda, which is very beautiful. So here we are in Yudha Kanda. Yudha Kanda, the theme is the efforts taken by the Lord to retrieve the Jivas. So it begins with the embrace of Lord Ramachandra to Hanuman. Lord Ram embraces Hanuman because Hanuman was successful in seeing Sita and giving the news to Lord Ramachandra. And as soon as Hanuman Hanuman was congratulated by Lord Ramachandra. Ramachandra started making plans to reach the ocean because eventually they had to cross the ocean. So they took about 1.5 days. And they started during the midday, which is the Abhijit Muhurta, and they started traveling towards the shore of the ocean. So it was a huge army of Vanaras, and on the day of Phalgun Purnima, they reached the shore of the ocean. However, back in Lanka, the situation was very tense, and Ravan was very upset that a mere Vanara had come and he had burned down the entire Lanka. So he called for his ministers and he was having a meeting with all of them. That is when some of the ministers and some of the followers of Ravan were trying to glorify him in various ways and encouraging him to act further. But however, Vibhishan gave the right counsel and he said Sita should be given back. Kumbhakarna was also awake on the same day and he also gave a similar advice. But then he said, it's okay, brother. At the end of the day, you're my brother, and whatever you do, I will stand by you, whether it is right or wrong. And also, we see the story of how Mahapashva, he comes and he tells Ravan, oh, why didn't you take advantage of Sita? But then Ravan at that time, he speaks about his earlier curses. So then Vibhishan, the next day in the Sabha, again he tells that he has to act immediately because his enemy is very powerful and he has to give Sita back. And that is when Indrajit interjects and he says, "Oh, uncle, you're not even fit to be a demon." And Indrajit was insulting Vibhishan. And then Ravan finally said, "I don't want to live with you. You're a terrible relative. You're worse than a snake." So that is when Vibhishan is very upset with his brother and he decides he wants to leave right then and there. So he rises up into the sky and he tells his brother, "You be happy with your kingdom, but I am leaving now." So Vibhishan, he takes a decision and he leaves along with four ministers and he arrives at the shore of the Indian Ocean where Lord Ramachandra was camping with all the Vanaras, Lakshman, Jambavan and others. So when Vibhishan comes, obviously the Vanaras are alerted and they get scared for the protection of Ram. Though Vibhishan says, Nivedayatamam Shipram Raghavaya Mahatmane Sarvaloka Sharanyaya Vibhishanam Upasthitam. He said it very nicely, but still Sugriva was very affectionate towards the Lord and he thought maybe some harm will come to the Lord. So looking at Sugriv's reaction, Lord Ramachandra asks the opinion of others and finally Ramachandra says, "Mitra bhavena sampraptam na tyajeyam kadanchana dosho adi yadi api tasya sat satametad agarhitam." So even if someone comes, he may not be a friend, but even if he just comes with a friendly appearance also, I accept him. So Sugriva was and the Vanaras argued in various ways and emphasizing that this Vibhishan has come at the wrong time, he has left his brother, and what if he's just infiltrated? What if he's just Ravana's agent as a spy? So many ifs and buts were discussed, and Lord Ramachandra says, "Anguli agrena tan hanyam ichan hariganeshwara." If I want, I can just kill him with the tip of my finger. He speaks about the story of the pigeon and the hunter, and finally he comes to the point where he speaks the famous Ramacharama shlok, which is Sakradeva Prapannaya Tavasmiti Chayachate Abhyam Sarvadatasme Dadami Etad Vratam Mama or Abhyam Sarvabhutebhyah Dadami Etad Vratam Mama. So anyway, Vibhishana was accepted and he calls Lakshman and he tells, "Let's coronate Vibhishan right here." So the ocean was also not crossed, the bridge was not built, but still Ramachandra, he crowns Vibhishan as the king of Lanka right then and there. Now the task was in hand where they had to cross the ocean. So Sugriv and others, they asked Vibhishan, "Do you have any suggestion? How do we cross this ocean?" So that is when Vibhishan, he just saw a success in a particular formula. The formula of success that he saw was the process of Sharanagati. So Vibhishan thought Sharanagati worked. So Ram, why don't you do Sharanagati towards the ocean? So Lord Ramachandra, he thought that's a good suggestion. Simply he wanted to please Vibhishan. So he said, "Yeah, that's a very good suggestion." And he asked others also, and they all said, "Yeah, not bad, good suggestion." And Lord Ramachandra, he decides to do Sharanagati towards the ocean. Meanwhile, Shuka, who's a spy, was sent by Ravan to go and find out what was happening on the other side of the ocean shore. And when Shuka comes in the form of a bird, the Vanaras caught him and they started poking his eyes and plucking off his feathers and so on. He was ill treated. And then Shuka was telling Ram, "Look at your people, they are torturing me." And then Ram tells all the Vanaras not to torture him like that and let him go. But then Angada, who's the son of Vali, he said, "No, no, no, don't let him go. Keep him with you, and then we let him go later." So they capture this Shuka. And meanwhile, the ocean personified does not appear as Ramachandra is doing his vrata for 3 days. And Ramachandra gets very angry. He calls out for his bow, Chapayane Asaumitre, bring my bow, I'm going to dry up this ocean. And then that Sharanagati was a failure. Lord Ramachandra's Sharanagati was a big failure. So anyway, finally, Sagara Maharaj, he appears in the middle, Sagara, the ocean personified. He appears in front of Lord Ramachandra and he says, "Look, I can't change my natural feature, or my nature cannot be changed. But I will give you three benedictions. One is that the sea creatures will not harm when you're trying to cross this ocean. Nala should build this bridge, and I will ensure that the bridge doesn't dissolve or collapse, meaning it doesn't submerge at any point in time. So, and also the articles that you put to build the bridge will be held up nicely. So, like that, he tells, I will ensure that my waters are cooperating with you. So then he tells Ramachandra that Ramachandra tells the ocean that I have already chanted the mantras to release this arrow. Now, what should I do? And that is when the ocean personified tells that you can release it at a desert area called, I mean, at a region called as actually Dhrumatulya. That is the name of the region. And that later becomes the deserted area, which is also identified with the Thar Desert and some regions around it. So then, after this, the Vanara army are told to build the bridge. Nala stands up and he says that, yes, I am the son of Vishwakarma, so I can definitely help you with the bridge construction. And then they bring lots of trees and rocks and boulders and mountain cliffs and all that to build the bridge under the directions of Nala. And we were seeing how efficiently they built the bridge. Actually, on the first day, that was on the Chaturthi, they built 14 yojanas. On the second day, I think it was 20, the third day, 21, the fourth day, 22, and the fifth day, 24 yojanas. So, like that, they built 100 yojanas of the bridge. And it was in the ratio of 10:1. That was the ratio that we still see today. And the bridge was built very successfully in different layers. And then we saw some short stories that had happened during the construction of the bridge. And all the Vanaras were extremely excited and they shouted out in joy and they started crossing the bridge successfully. So after they crossed the bridge and they reached the side of Lanka, ocean side of Lanka, at that time Lord Ramchandra embraces Lakshman and he tells Lakshman that he's already seeing many omens that this land is going to be destroyed and there is going to be a great war. Uh, so now Ramachandra, he tells commander-in-chief, who's Neela, that we should start arranging the army in proper formations. So you all know that when wars are fought, the armies are arranged in different arrays. So the current pattern that was chosen by Lord Ramachandra was the Garuda Vyuha formation. So he said, let's arrange the army according to the Garuda Vyuha formation, and he gives instructions who should be at which portion of the Garuda Vyuha. And especially he says he will stand in the front, in the face portion of Garuda, mouth portion of Garuda. So that just shows how Lord Ramachandra, he's a leader. He leads by example. It's not that he just tells everyone to fight and he sits back and he watches. No, when he gives instructions, he also takes up charge and he goes and he stands in the front. So this is Lord Ramachandra. Now remember that Shuka who was there, he was being harassed by the monkeys. The Shuka was still with them, and then finally Ramchandra tells the Vanaras, you release the Shuka now. So it was also a strategy at one, to show Ravan so that Shuka will go and tell Ravan about the true strength of the opposing army, that the opposite army is no ordinary people. They have built a bridge and they have come and they are ready to fight. So this power will be informed by Shuka. So that was the idea. So when Shuka goes back to his master Ravan, Ravan started laughing and mocking at Shuka, saying, "Hey, why are your wings tied up? It appears that your feathers are all gone. Did you become a victim of the fickle-minded monkeys?" So he makes fun of Shuka and he asks him what all happened. And then Shuka tells a story how when he went, he was seized by the Vanaras and they really, really tortured him, and how Ramchandra, in spite of all this, told the Vanaras to refrain. And then how the bridge was built, how they crossed, and everything he says. And he says that it's better you actually give up the war. Don't have this intention of fighting the war. I think either you can give back Sita or you can just say, basically, I don't want to fight the war and just leave the whole thing because I don't think you're going to be successful. This is the information that Shukra gives to Ravana. Uh, and Ravana, his eyes had become blood red with anger, and he said, even if I'm frightened by all the three worlds, even if I'm called for a battle with the demigods and the Gandharvas, still I will not give back Sita, whatever the situation may be. He says, I'm waiting for the battle. Let me attack Ram, and I'm sure that I will be successful. So, like this, he says, and he dismisses Shuka. Then he calls other two messengers. These are like ministers, actually. They are called as Shuka Sarana. They are a pair, actually. And they go in the guise of Vanaras. That is the guise that they take. And their duty was to go and spy on the Vanara army, gather their biodata, find out the types of warriors and individual capabilities and all their war strategies, etc. So when Sukasharana they go, they were captured by Vibhishan because Vibhishan knows who's a demon and who's not a demon. So though they go in the guise of Vanaras, still they were captured by Vibhishan, and then Vibhishan identifies them and he tells the Vanaras, hey, these are Rakshasas, they are in no way Vanaras. That is when all the Vanaras they capture Shukasarana and they are ready to kill him. But then Ramchandra says, no, 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 release him. And in fact, Vibhishan, what you well, in fact, Vibhishan, you know what you should do? You should give them all our information. Call the Shuka and Sarana and tell them everything about our strength, about the individual biodata. Open this computer and show them everything, all our details, what each army general is capable of, everything. Let him get all the information. That's why he has come. He is, of course, a spy. So he wants to know our strength. So show him everything. And then everything is shown to Shuka and Sarana. And then they say, Jai Jai Ram, and they go away because they are so impressed with the way Ram handles them. So they go and they give the information to Ravan and saying that, you know what happened when we went there, we were caught by Vibhishan. But then this Ramchandra, he's so magnanimous. He told that take all the information you want, and we gathered all the information and we came. He's such a great man. This Ram is so nice. So they went and they started doing Ram Kirtan. And hearing that, of course, Ravan was very angry. He was very upset. And he starts abusing them. He tells that you both are so useless. You're always praising the enemy. Actually, I would have killed you. But then in the past, you have done some services for me. So that's the only reason why I'm releasing you. For now, you keep away from my vision. Don't even come in front of my face. Otherwise, I will kill you. So, hearing all these words of Ravan, Shuka, and Saran, they were very, very ashamed and they leave. So, we continue from there. Okay. So, now the third action that Ravan takes. First, remember, he sent Shuka when they were on the other side of the ocean. Now they sent Shukasharana. That was the second set. Now the third one, he calls his great minister Mahodhara. And with Mahodhara, he calls for a few set of spies, that is a few bunch of spies. Now these spies headed by Shardula. Shardula is the leader of all these spies. He calls them and he tells them, you now, this entire set, you all go inside, you infiltrate into the Vanara army and find out more information about Ram's army. Find out what are his hours of sleeping and waking, what his intentions are, and should come here immediately after getting all the information, what capability each of these warriors have. So, like this, he gives them a set of instructions and tries to get more information. So, these spies, they kept Shardula as their leader and they circumambulated Ravan, taking his instructions on their head. They had again disguised in the form of monkeys. And this time it is Ramachandra and Lakshman they were actually quite oblivious again of the situation that these Rakshasas had infiltrated. But then again, same thing happens. Vibhishan is able to identify that this is no Vanara, and he understands they are actually Rakshasas in disguise, and they was all seized. He identifies each one of them, and they are pulled out of the camp, and they are ready to be punished. All the Vanaras are now raging at Shardula, but then, as usual, the Shardula, he begs Rama. He tells Ram that we are only messengers or spies, so we should not be killed. We have no intentions of fighting you, so we have to be released. So again, Ramachandra is very, very merciful, and he says, it's okay, just release them. It's okay. Just leave them. And because of this, the Shardula and the rest of them are released, and they finally go back to Ravan, and they inform Ravan everything that is happening in the camp of Lord Ram. So Ravan asks them, hey Shardula, it appears that your complexion is very faded. So what? Did something bad happen to you? I hope you have also not fallen victim to that enraged monkeys like how Shuka fell victim. So at that time, Shardula said, actually, when I've tried to infiltrate along with my men, I was found immediately by Vibhishan. He just did a little examination and he found out that we were Rakshasas. So I was taken out of the camp and I was tortured and I was investigated in various ways as to who I am and why I have come. All the Vanaras, they started coming and beating me with their knees and fists and biting me with their teeth and hitting me with their palms. And they asked us to parade around the army. They were torturing us in various ways. But then when we spotted Lord Ram, we folded our palms and we surrendered to him and we told him, please look at your people. They're torturing us like this. And that time Ram, he just released us out of compassion and he told us to go. So he comes back and he says to Ravana, this Shardula and others, they tell Ravan, actually, you have taken a very wrong decision to fight with such a big Vanara Singh. It is better you give up this battle and give away Sita to Ram. It's a useless, futile battle that you're going to fight. Definitely, you're going to get it. You'll be at a loss if you fight this battle. So then Ravan, he gets very angry and he says, there is no way that I'm giving up Sita. And then instead of, see, previously when Shuka and Sarana had come, at that time, this Ravan, what did he do? He told, get away from here. I don't want to see your faces. I'm just leaving you alive. Just go away. I give you one chance. Just run away from here. But then now he realized that Shardula is also talking in similar ways. But then he thought he should get all the information that Shardula had collected. So he said, okay, at least did you get to spy a little? So tell me, who are these valorous Vanaras? Can you tell me all of them? I've heard some of them are also sons of demigods. I've heard this, hearsay. I've heard that many of the Vanaras are portions of demigods and they are very, very powerful. So tell me all the information about them. So then the Shardula, he begins to talk about each of the Vanaras to a great extent. I've just given notes of some of them and I'll talk about a few of them. And there are many more, like so many more Vanaras that are detailed. So he begins with the king Sugriva. He says Sugriva is the son of the sun god and he's very difficult to conquer in the battle. And there is also the son of Gadgada. His name is Jambavan. He's a bear. And there is another Vanara who's the son of Brihaspati, who's the teacher of Indra, and his name is Kesari. This Kesari is no ordinary person because his son is that Hanuman who came and who destroyed this entire Lanka. There is also Sushena, who is the son of Yamaraj, the lord of death. He's very valiant and very virtuous monkey. There is another person by the name Dhadimukha, who's very cool-minded because he's the son of the moon god. We also have Sumukha, Durmukha, and Vanara called as Vegadarshi. And they are all personifications of death in the forms of monkeys, and they were created by Lord Brahma himself. And then there is Neela, who's the army general of the Vanaras. He is the son of Agni Dev. And of course, there is the son of Vayudev, very well known as Hanuman, who had already come. And then he says there is this young son, young boy called Angad. Angada is the grandson of Indra. He's very strong. And also the mighty Maindha, Dvivida, they both are born from the Ashwini Kumaras. We also have Gaja, Gavaksha, Gavaya, Sharabha, and Gandhavadana, the five sons of Yamaraj as well. And all of them are resembling Yama in various ways. So like this, they have followers of 10 crore monkey. Just these five people, they have a followers of 10 crore monkey, and so on. He tells many, no, sorry. The entire army, he counts, not just the followers of the five Vanaras, but the entire army that has come here is about 10 crores. That is the number of monkeys that have come, and they are all waiting to have a battle with you. And not just the Vanaras, but also there is this young prince, Ram. He is the son of Dasharath. He is very well built, like that of a lion. And because of him, Karadush and Trishiras, they were all killed. There is no human on earth who's equal to Ram. And his brother is Lakshman. He also resembles Ram in various ways. He's like an elephant. And nobody can survive the arrows of Lakshman. Even Indra cannot sustain the arrows of Lakshman. There are other Vanaras too, Shweta and Jyotirmukha, who are also the sons of sun god. And there is Hemakuta, another son of Varuna. There is Nila, the son of Vishwakarma, and the strong and best of monkeys, as well as the swift moving monkey called Dhurdhara, who's the son of the Vasus. And besides these Vanaras, Ramachandra, Lakshman, there is also our prince, Vibhishan, the demoniac prince, who's born in our family. You know, when Vibhishan went there to the other side of the ocean, Ram promised to give Lanka to him. He told him, "You are going to be the king of Lanka," and he coronated him there itself. And he said that he will conquer you in the battle and give the entire Lanka to Vibhishan. So, like this, I have described the entire army of the monkeys, and now these monkeys, headed by Ram and Lakshman, they are stationed in Mount Suvela. So that is where their station was. That is, the army had gathered in Mount Suvela. And now he tells it is up to you to decide what has to be done. But he says, the army is very strong. Give back Sita to Ram. He also says the same thing. So hearing all this information, Ravana became very agitated. And then he called all his ministers and he began to tell his ministers that this is no good situation, but then I know what to do. I know what to do. You're all telling me that the opposing army is very strong and I should surrender and I should give Sita back. No, I'm not going to do that. First, I will psychologically destroy Sita. That is what he was thinking, and he calls one of his ministers by the name Vidyut Jihva. So he calls Vidyut Jihva, and Vidyut Jihva was an expert magician. He could create lots of interesting magic. So he calls Vidyut Jihva and he tells Vidyut Jihva that with your spells and your magical powers, you create an illusion so that Sita can be deceived and she can be heartbroken and she can just collapse. And seeing that condition, the opposite army will also get agitated. Okay, so he was trying to follow a different trick. So Vidyut Jihva, immediately he said, okay, I will do a nice trick. I will create a nice illusion, and that way Sita can be heartbroken. So Vidyut Jihva and Ravana, they have a brief talk, and then Vidyut Jihva displays his conjuring tricks that he can do. And he shows various articles and all that. And finally, they decide on something, okay, what they're going to do. They solidify a plan. And as a gift, Ravana, he gives a beautiful ornament from his neck and he tells Vidyut Jihva, well done. This is what we are going to show to Sita. And he gives that ornament and he congratulates Vidyut Jihva. Now, Ravana, he proceeds to Ashoka Vatika. Now, there Sita was sitting very, very sadly with her face downcast. And poor Sita, she didn't deserve such a bad treatment, but she was really tortured in the Ashoka groves. And he went to her, he stood in front of her, and he told, Hey, Vaidehi, beautiful one, you trusted that Ram and you repelled me. Mhm. That Ram, who's the murderer of Karadushan and Trishiras, you know what has happened to him? He has been killed in a battle by me. Sita, your root is all cut off, your pride is gone. And now, in the situation when your beloved Ram is dead, I killed him. You have no other choice but to become my wife. So you give up this resolution that you will wait for Ram because Ram is now dead. Now you will become the chief queen of all my consorts. Sita, do you want to hear how your husband has died? How I killed him? I'll tell you how. Ram, he came all the way to Lanka and he encircled Lanka with an extensive army led forward by Sugriva. And I heard this information that he was already here and he was stationed. The sun was about to set, and his army was encamped there on the northern shore of the ocean. And at that time, with my entire army, I got to know from my spies that they have come, and I could understand that they are ready for a war. So I got my army fully ready, and my army was led by Prahasta. And in the night, they went to the place where Ram and Lakshman were. And Prahasta, with a sword in his hand, he severed the head of Ram who was sleeping there. And you know what? I have the head of Ram with me. Fortunately, Vibhishan was also held captive, and Lakshmana and the monkeys, they were frenzied and they just ran away here and there in all directions, seeing that their Lord Ram's head was decapitated. It was completely cut off. So he tells Sita, Sugriva, who's the king of monkeys, you know, he's called a Sugriva. Sugriva means beautiful neck. His neck was broken by all the Rakshasas. And Hanuman, he's already the broken jaw one. His jaw was removed and he was smashed to the earth by the demons. Then Jambavan, who was trying to stand up on his knees, was killed in the battle. His body was cut off with many sharp edged spears, just like how a tree is cut off. So, like that, he began to list each and every Vanara, prominent Vanara. He listed each one of them, how they were killed by various Rakshasas and how they were forced to give up their lives. He said some of them Vanaras, they fell into the sea. Some of them, they sought shelter in the sky. And some of the bears and the Vanaras, they started climbing the trees. Then he clapped his hands and he said, Bring with you Jihva. He is the one who has the head of that Raghava. Ask him to come here. And Vidyujihva, he came from behind with the head of Ram and he stood in front of Ravan. So Vidyujihva, he said, Here is Ram's head. And Ravana said, Put it in front of Sita. Let that Sita see the final condition of her husband. Hearing Ravana's words, this Vidyujihva, he threw that head in front of Sita. And not only that, he also threw Ram's bow and arrows in front of Sita to show this is the bow of your Ram. That bow I have brought here for proof. So this is the bow, and here is the head. So now Sita, she saw this illusory head and bow. Okay, as far as Sita doesn't know, it's an illusion, but then we know the story. So Sita, she saw this illusory head and the bow, and she heard Ravana narrating about Ram's relationship with Sugriva. And she could immediately recognize that, yes, 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 this is Ram, it's his head, it is the head of Ram. And it is the exact same face. My husband's eyes, his facial complexion, his hair, the expanse of his forehead, everything is perfect. This is exactly the bow of Ram. Yes, Ram came with all the Vanaras. I heard this from Hanuman as well. So definitely Ram has come here. Oh, my husband is dead. She was shocked. She started crying. She said, "Oh, Kaiki." Every time there's a problem, Kaikeyi is blamed. So, oh, Kaikeyi, you gave clothes made of bark to that Ram and you sent him on an exile. What harm did he do to you? She was trembling and she fell on the ground, just like how a plantain tree, when it is cut off, it just falls off. So, like that, she lamented about her misfortune and she called out to Kausalya, who's her mother in law, and she was telling, "Oh, Kausalya, you took such good care of your son. And now, what will be your condition? You will be like a cow without its calf." And then she looks at Ram's head that has fallen off and she says, "Ram, don't you remember the promise you made to me at the time of marriage that you will always be with me? You will never leave me. Now it's time for you to take me along with you." And she laments, she says, this Ram, he crossed a huge ocean, but he was killed in a small puddle of Lanka. And she says, all this is because of me. I am the one who's to be blamed because I am not a fortunate lady. I am an unworthy woman, all because of me. Ram had to cross this ocean and die in the small puddle just because of this hopeless woman like myself. So she called out to the skies and she said, "Unite the wife with the husband without any delay. Let me also be killed, just like how I see Ram's head fallen here." And she tells Ravan, "You kill me right now. I will join Ram in at least in death." So, like this, when Sita was lamenting, there was a royal guard who came hurriedly to the king, who's Ravan, and then he joined his palms and he had a message to tell Ravan. He said, "Oh, my lord, Prahasta has come with all his ministers. He has sent me and he's very eager to see you. He needs to have a meeting with you." So, hearing this communication of the god, Ravana, he just left Ashokavatika. And because, as far as Ravan was concerned, the meeting was very important because he had to get ready for the war. So, he had to have a meeting with Prahasta to ensure that the war strategy is in place. So, Ravan, he immediately left this Ashokavatika and he walked out. And soon after Ravan left, that illusory head and bow, it just vanished. Because after all, it's a trick, right? So it just vanished. And then Ravana, he goes to his ministry where, to his sabha, where all the powerful ministers were assembled and they wanted to talk about the measures, the war strategy that they're going to adopt to face Ram. And then drums were beaten. All this bheri and all these different kinds of drums, they were beaten as an indication of the army to assemble. So it was a sign that the army should get ready. And he tells, "Immediately call all my forces. Don't tell them too many details, but ask them to come immediately." So, meanwhile, after all this vanished in Ashokavatika and Ravan came and showed this head, Sita was completely bewildered. She didn't understand anything. She saw that her husband was dead, and suddenly Ravan was called by a guard and he went away, and the head and the bow vanished. She didn't understand anything. So at that time, Sarama, who is actually the wife of Vibhishan, who was very favorable towards Sita, she goes towards Sita to explain to Sita that there is no problem as of now. So she goes and tells Sita, "My dear Sita, because of the friendship that I have with you, I want to tell you something. I already overheard Ravana's words and I saw how he had shown this illusory head and bow." So she tells Sita that don't have any fear. Actually, Ravan is not capable of attacking Ram, that too in sleep. Ram is a man of self awareness even when he is sleeping. So it is simply not possible to kill Ram in that manner. This Ravana, he told that Ram's head was chopped off, but it is simply not possible. How can Ram be killed? He's always self aware, he knows himself, and not only that, he's always protected by the Vanaras. This is nothing but an illusion. It is a trickery that was created, and this was just done to psychologically affect you. O Sita, may all good fortune be unto you. Ram, along with his entire army, has actually crossed the ocean and they have reached the southern shore of the ocean and they are encamping there. Ram, along with Lakshman, I could see that they have come. I can travel in the sky, I can go and see things. He, along with Lakshman, have come here and that is perceived by me. And he stands protected by all the troops that he has gathered, and they have all assembled in the vicinity of the ocean. And some demons, they were dispatched by Ravana. They brought this very news here that Ram has crossed the ocean and I have overheard it. Hearing that news, actually, remember when Ravan came, he showed you that head and that sword, that bow, and immediately after some time, a guard came and called him, and he went away. Right? You saw that. As soon as he went away, the magical bow and the head, they vanished. So why do you think he went away immediately in haste? Because he's making plans along with his ministers as to how to attack Ram in a war. So then she said, can you hear the clashing of drums that is happening? That is the sign that the army has to be assembled. So technically, the war hasn't even started, which means that Ram is not yet killed. This sound that you're hearing now, this is the sound of the commencement of war. And the orders were just given by Ravana. And you can hear that elephants are walking and trampling the earth because they are called for a war. Can you hear the sound of the chariots that is moving in all directions? This is also a sound that the army is getting ready for the battle. So she tells, all good fortune unto you. At this point in time, it is a bad time for the demons. Your lotus-eyed husband, he is a person of great virtue. He has great strength, and nobody can overcome his anger in this war. Don't worry, he will kill Ravana and he will win you back. Very soon, you will be united with Ram and you will be happy. Whatever Ravana did right now, it was all nothing but a trick. Okay, so now the Sita, who was initially so overwhelmed with pain, hearing the words that Ravan said, now she was comforted and made happy by the words of Sarama. Just like how when a land is very, very barren and suddenly there is rain, how that rain can create fertility in that land. Similarly, Karama, by her sweet words, she could again recreate some hope and happiness in the heart of Sita. Then Sarama told Sita, Sita, I already told you I can fly. I have these powers. I'm after all a Rakshasi. I can do all this. So if you want me to carry a message for your husband, I'm capable of carrying a message, maybe some good words that you want to tell Ram. I can quietly go tell him and return secretly. Or you can tell me whatever will make you happy, I will do that. Then Sita says, if you can just go now, not to Ram, but rather to the assembly and find out what Ravan is doing right now, that will be of great help. She was hoping that at least now Ravan will call off the war. That was her hope. So she asked Sarama, can you go find out what his plans are? I'm so depressed. My mind is not in the natural state. I'm living in this Ashoka Vatika for so long. I'm distressed out of fear. So tell me all that they are going to have, all that they are talking about in the assembly, what the ministers' plans are they going to keep me captive like this? What is their plan? It will be of great service to me if you go and find out all this information. So then Sanama, when she hears this request, she wipes off Sita's face and then she says, don't worry, I will go and find out what is happening in the assembly. So now Sanama, she goes to the assembly where Ravana is meeting up with all his well-wishers. Sanama, she flies in the sky and she went to the place where the ministers and Ravana were talking. She hears everything and she soon goes back to the Ashokavatika to give information for Sita, to Sita, and Sita was waiting for her. And the minute she came, Sita called her and asked her to sit close by. And she asked Sarama, tell me what happened. What is the real design of that cruel Ravan? What does he really want to do? And Sita was trembling with fear and her hand was trembling and she was asking Sarama, tell me everything. What is his plan now? Is he going to release me now that Ram has come? What is the next step? So that is when Sarama, she begins to narrate the conversation of Ravana that he had with his ministers. She said, what to talk about Ravana's ministers. Ravana's mother, Kaikasi, she came to the assembly. She came to the assembly and she advised her son Ravan in various ways that he should not be fighting this war and he has unnecessarily brought another man's wife and he should return Sita immediately. Not only did his mother Kaikasi advise him, but also Avidha, who's one of the oldest ministers in the assembly, he also spoke many different valid points to Ravan asking for your release, O Sita. He said, let Sita be restored honorably to Ram. Oh dear Ravan, that wonderful thing that happened in Janasthan alone should be an eye opener to you. What was that wonderful thing that happened in Janasthan? How Ramachandra, who was maybe who was single-handed, he killed 14,000 demons headed by Karadushan and Trishiras. He killed all of them. No ordinary human can do this. So he was trying to advise Ravan that no ordinary human can fight with 14,000 demons at one shot. And no ordinary human can cross an ocean like this. Building a bridge in 5 days and crossing over the ocean. It is impossible. And what to talk about this man? His very messenger, ordinary messenger, came and he burned down Lanka. This is all too much. We can't even imagine all this. So these are not ordinary people. Please understand. So it's better you give away Sita. So this Avita, Kaikasi, all of them, they were all trying to advise in various ways. And Sarama told Sita that what to do, Sita. In spite of all this, in spite of so much advice, this Ravana, he simply doesn't want to release you. He is just release you without just like a miser who will never let go of his riches. He is ready for lying down his life in the battle. So he's just like a miser. A miser will never let go of the riches that he has gotten. So like that, he's simply not ready to give you up, but he's even ready to give up his life in the battle. So she tells, my dear Sita, beautiful-eyed one, mark my words, Ravan, by his sharp arrows in a combat, will lose when he faces Ram, and Ram will come and he will take you back to Ayodhya by all means. So like this, Sarama, she conveyed the matter to Sita that you are not going to be released and the battle is going to be fought. Okay. So this is the message that was conveyed by Sarama. Now, meanwhile, in the palace where Ravan was, just not two people, two very senior people. One is his mother and the other is a very senior minister who had been serving the kingdom for many ages. They came and they advised Ravan in various ways, but Ravan would not listen. But then there was this very important personality, Malyavan. So Mali, Sumali, Malyavan, they are all like uncles of Ravana. In the Uttarakanda, we'll see more about these three brothers, Mali, Sumali, Malyavan. They had already fought wars with Vishnu. Even in Bhagavatam, we read their story in the eighth canto, churning of the milk ocean. After that, there was a fight between the Devas and the Asuras, and Vishnu takes the side of the Devas. And then you have the story of Bali Maharaj coming after that. So these three, Mali, Somali, Malyavan, they were like the uncles of, actually, one of them was the father, not father, direct grandfather, I think. Yeah, one of them was the direct grandfather. I think Mali maybe was a direct grandfather, but this is not an uncle. This is like a brother grandfather, young, what do you say, small grandfather, something. Okay, basically some relative of Ravana, and he is a senior person. Hmm? Yeah, it is written that Ravana's maternal grandfather. Yes, so it's because this Kaikasi, she was the daughter of, I think, Sumali, if I'm not wrong. So this is a grandfather only, this Malyavan, and on the mother's side. So Malyavan, he comes and he advises Ravan to make peace. See, his already Kaikasi tried to speak, but now he's not listening to Kaikasi. So now the grandfather is coming and telling, just go and make peace and restore Sita to Ram so that we can all be relieved from this condition. Since Sita came, so many different adverse omens are seen. And he says, Ram is no ordinary person. He's a great warrior. He's crossed the ocean for the sake of Sita. In fact, we should sign a treaty of peace. And unless you know that your opponent is weak, there is no point attacking the opponent. When you know that the opponent is stronger than you or of equal strength, it is better to just sign off a treaty of peace than fighting them directly. Don't underestimate the strength of your enemy. So many messengers have gone, they have found out the strength, and they have come and they have reported to you, and everybody has given you the same advice that you should not go about fighting. If you go about fighting, the entire demon race will be destroyed. So, if the king is very powerful, then he can wage a war against the enemy, but it doesn't appear that you are more powerful than Ram, he says. And why is Malyavan saying this so confidently? He says, Vishnu manyamahe Ramam manusham dehamastitam nahi manusha matro asau ragavo drida vikrama. He's an experienced person. He says, I deem Ram as being Vishnu who's come in the human form. He has seen Vishnu in person. Malyavan has directly dealt with Vishnu in the past, and Vishnu's chakra has gone and attacked Mali, Somali, and Malyavan, and they were run. There's a story, we will discuss that in the Uttarakhand as well, and it's there in Bhagavatam also. Certain parts of the story is there in Bhagavatam. But anyway, now he's telling, I think that this Ram is none other than Vishnu in the human form. Don't think Ram to be an ordinary human, because an ordinary human cannot create such a wonderful bridge across the ocean. It does, oh Ravan, my dear grandson, it is better you make peace with Ram. He's no ordinary person. It's not easy to face Vishnu in war. And he tells, I got to know everything about all the activities that he has been doing. And I can easily conclude this is not an ordinary person you're going to face. So, if if you really want good fortune, which is what I'm desiring for you, you should just keep away from this war. So, after a lot of deliberation and mature understanding with my experience, I'm coming and telling you that you should not wage this war. So don't think Ram is a mere feeble human being. Ram, with the help of the Vanaras, is living in the forest. He was abandoned by his father, and he has crossed the bridge and he has come all the way to Lanka. Put all this in your mind and then be very careful. That is when Ravan, when he hears this, even from his grandfather, he gets very frustrated and he says, Aniya chavanat sitam padmahinam iva shriyam kimmartam pratidasyami ragavasya bayadaham. He says, look at Ravan, his realization. He says, why should I give back Sita? There, Malyavan is telling, Vishnu Manyamahe Ramam Manusham Deham Ashratam. I think this Ram is none other than Vishnu who has taken a human form. Here, Ravana is telling, I will not give back that Sita, who is Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, without a lotus in human form. This is what he's telling. He says, why should I give back Sita, who's like Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, without the lotus? Padma Hinam Eva Shriyam. She is Lakshmi only without holding a lotus flower. That's all. In the human form. I have taken all the effort to bring her from the forest. And why, out of fear of Ram, you think I'll give her away? No, I will keep her. Just shows how misguided people can become. And then Ravana, he further says that he will not give back Sita to Ram, and that Ram and his army will not go back alive. He's so confident that he's going to win in the war. So he says that Ram and his army, they have crossed the ocean, they have come to Lanka, but whose land have they come to? They have come to Ravan's land. Having come to Ravan's land, how will they go back alive? So I will face them in the battle and I will kill all of them. So he says that, and then Ravana, he begins to assign different duties to all his warriors because he already called for all his warriors to assemble. Now he decides to assign duties to everybody. Meanwhile, Ramachandra and the Vanarasena, they were near the Suvela mountain and they were assessing the city of Lanka and Ravana's strength from there. And Vibhishan told them that my counselors, who are Anala, Panasa, Sampati, and Pramati, remember the four ministers who came along with Vibhishan? Vibhishan told the Vanaras that my four ministers, they actually went to the city of Lanka and they came back with some information. They also took the form of birds and they surveyed what is happening on the Ravana's side, what he has started doing. And this is the information that we have received. So basically, the previous statement we saw that Ravan, he dismisses everybody and then he goes and he gives instructions to his Sena to get ready in different positions. And when they are getting ready in different positions, at that time, the four ministers of Vibhishan, they take the form of birds and they go and they survey the entire army of the demons and they come back and they report to the Vanaras and Lord Ramachandra. So they say, Prahasta is standing near the eastern gate. Mahaparshva and Mahodara of mighty prowess are standing in the southern gate. Indrajit, who is the son of Ravana, is at the western gate along with many demons who are armed with swords, bows, spears, hammers, etc. Ravana, who is the knower of this illusory fight, is himself stationed at the northern gate, along with several thousand demons holding lances in their hand. As far as Virupaksha is concerned, he's carrying spears, clubs, and all his men, they are in the center of the fort. And seeing all this, my counselors, they have returned. So he says, O Ram, 60,000 demons attacked Kuvera in the past. And I am telling his strength for you to determine the strength of Ravana and his army. 60,000 demons of Ravana's, they went and attacked Kuvera and the Yakshas and they came out very, very successful. They are extremely powerful. They are very powerful, even powerful than the Yakshas. So you can imagine the strength of Ravana and his entire army. The demonic army is extremely strong. And as far as the eastern gate of Lanka, now Ram, okay, now next is, we saw east, west, north, south of what is happening in Ravana's army. Now here in this army, the description of the army members and where they are standing is continued. So in Ram's side, Ram's instruction is that at the eastern gate of Lanka, Neela, the lion among monkeys for his part, surrounded many monkeys, should go and attack Prahasta. Now, instructions. See, we already saw the formation of the Vanara's army. We saw the formation of the Rakshasas army. Now, how to attack each group? That instructions comes here. So he says this person who's at the eastern gate was Prahasta in the Rakshasa side. So Ramachandra is telling, as far as the eastern gate of Lanka is concerned, Neela, who's our commander and who's the lion among Vanaras, on his part, with many monkeys, he should go and attack this Prahasta. Now, that southern gate that you mentioned, there, Angada, who's the son of Van army, he should go and oppose Mahaparshva and Mahodara, who are situated on the southern gate. Who should attack? Angada. Then he tells Hanuman, who's the son of the wind god, surrounded by all the Vanaras of his troop, they should enter the city through the western gate. And with the aid of Lakshman, I will enter the northern gate where Ravana is stationed along with his army. So you have two groups of armies that are stationed on opposite sides, and they are all divided into sections. Each section will attack one section of the opposing army. So if now Ramachandra knows where Ravan will be situated. Ravan is in the north gate, right? So Ramachandra, who's at the head of the Garuda Vyuha, he says, I will go along with my people, along with Lakshman, and attack the northern gate where Ravan is stationed along with this army. Then he tells, let the mighty Sugriva, who's the king of monkeys, and the Jambavan, who's the king of the bears, and Vibhishan, who's the younger brother of Ravana, occupy the central position of the army and attack those people who are in the central position. And most importantly, he gives a very important instruction at this time. He tells the Vanaras who are here, you should not assume a human form at the time of battle. See, we know that the Vanaras are capable of shape-shifting. That means they can take any form. In the past also, we saw how Hanuman, he takes the form of a bhikshu and he comes and he talks to Ramachandra. So these things have happened. Okay, the Vanaras can change forms as they like. They can even take human forms according to their will. So this is not something that is new. Now Ramachandra is telling all the Vanaras in the middle of the fight in a haste or just to do something crazy, don't try to take human-like forms. And there is one commentary that mentions, this is not found in any other place, but it's a very good piece of information. This is in the Govindaraja commentary, that since Ramachandra said, hereafter, he says actually in Sanskrit, he says, hereafter the monkeys should not assume a human form in the battle, for in the army of monkeys, this monkey shape should serve as a sign of recognition amongst us. This is the English translation. But in Sanskrit, how it comes is, hereafter all you Vanaras should never take a human form while fighting, because this human form that you are, the Vanara form is a sign of recognition for us that we are on the Ramchandra side. All the Vanaras are on Ramchandra's sides, because demons also have human-like forms, right? They can take other forms, but demons in general, they have human-like forms. the Vanaras should always be in the Vanara form. That is the rule that they take at this point in time. He says that the monkey shape should never be given up at any point in time because it will serve as a sign for us. Now, what was the commentary about? The commentary says that actually, from the time they were stationed on the other side, on the Indian side, and they built the bridge and everything, and they came here, for building the bridge and crossing the ocean, the Vanaras took human forms, is one of the commentary. You won't find this anywhere else, but this is a commentary, and it is one of the rahasyas that was spoken by to Ramanujacharya by Sri Shailapurna. These are called as the rahasyas in the Ramayana. It's a very famous topic that is discussed. 18 rahasyas are there. But in that also in each of these 18 rahasyas, there are many topics that were discussed. And one of the topic was that when the bridge was built and when they were crossing the bridge, apparently, again, in pictures, we don't see human forms. We always see Vanara forms. But they say that many of them assumed human-like forms while doing these tasks. Certain tasks were accomplished in human-like forms. Again, there is no other reference directly from the verses, but this is just a commentary for us to also keep in mind. Someday it will come handy, is what I thought. But it is good to keep that idea in mind. As and when needed, they were taking human forms to build the bridge as well as to cross the bridge. Okay, so just keep that aside, keep it in mind. Okay. Now, at this point, Ramachandra says that nobody should assume a human-like form because then it will be very confusing. This monkey shape is our identity. But then, of course, the bears, they will remain as bears. They don't have to change to monkey forms. Okay, the bears will remain as bears and we can identify them, Jambavan and others. And he says, except 7 of us, the rest of you will be in animal forms. Who are the 7 of us? Rama, Lakshmana, Vibhishan, and his 4 companions. Only we will be in human-like forms. Even if they are demons, they will have human-like outer structure, right? So he says Vibhishan and his 4 followers, Rama, Lakshmana, and who's the other one? Yeah, Vibhishan. Yeah, Vibhishan, his 4 companions, Rama and Lakshmana. So totally, we 7 of us, we will attack alone in the human-like forms and we are identifiable. When you see us, you'll know it is us. Okay, so like this, Ram gave very specific instructions to all the Vanaras, and now he was determined to fight the great war. Now, this is an interesting twist in the story. So now, anyway, Ramachandra, then he decided, okay, we have to take our residence in Mount Suvela. This is where all of us have to be stationed. We have to station ourselves this night here. Actually, they had crossed the ocean and they had come that evening itself, and now it was night. The same day they crossed the ocean, all this is happening. Okay, so now they had crossed the ocean, they had come here. It was, yeah, it was Ashtami Tithi, because on Ashtami Tithi only they crossed the ocean. So it was still Ashtami Tithi, and they decided to station themselves in Mount Suvela and take rest there over the night. Now, this Mount Suvela, it is situated opposite the Trikuta Parvat, where the city of Lanka is situated. So from Mount Suvela, if you climb up the cliff of the mountain, you can see, in a distance, you can see the city of Lanka. Huh? You can see how Lanka is situated with very charming gardens and groves, and all this can be viewed from the top of Mount Suvela. Now, some of the monkeys, they started jumping and they were very happy. They were climbing the mountain. Some of them were going into different gardens and they were enjoying the flowers and the birds and beauty and all that. Now, this Mount Suvela had a circumference of 16 miles. It was a big mountain. And Ram, Sugriva, and others, they could see Lanka from there, which was situated on the Trikuta Parvat. How was the Lanka looking? It was looking like a huge city with multi-storied mansions, minimum 7 stories, all the buildings. And 1,000-pillared mansion of Ravan was specifically seen, and that huge mansion was touching the skies. And above that gateway in the balcony, stood the great invincible Ravan, who is the lord of all the demons. And he was standing there and he was fanned by whisks on both sides by his servants. One demon was holding an umbrella on top of him and he was smeared with red sandalwood paste. He was wearing nice ornaments. He was wearing a blood red dhoti with a nice golden border. He was looking like a dark cloud enveloped with the sun rays at the time of sunset. So much description for this Ravan. Yes, he's a very important character. He's our villain. So you can imagine how nicely Valmiki has described him. Blood red dhoti, and then his body was like a huge dense cloud, and one man was holding an umbrella. The other two were whisking fans, and he was standing in the balcony with all royal opulence. And his palace was multi-story, touching the skies. So this was our Ravan, and he was giving darshan in the balcony. So at that time, some of the Vanaras, they had climbed on top of the Suvela mountain and they were watching the city of Lanka, and they saw this Ravana. And on catching a glimpse of this Ravan, Sugriva, he got up. They were all sitting down in the mountain, and Sugriva saw this Ravan and he got up very angrily. And he took up all his strength and courage, and in an impulsive fit of rage, sometimes when you get suddenly angry, you start acting, right? So like that, Sugriva, he's a Vanara. So he got so impulsively angry. He jumped off from the peak of the mountain and he went on. He sprang on top of the gate of Ravana's palace. And then he paused for a moment and he saw this Ravana was giving pose on the balcony. And seeing this Ravana, he was getting very angry and he jumped into the balcony where Ravan was standing. And he was thinking this Ravana is like a mere piece of straw. So he said, "Hey, Ravan, you terrible demon, I am the friend and servant of Ram. And Ram is the Lord of the world. Today, I will not spare you. By the grace of Ram, I'm going to beat you up today." So saying that, Sugriva, he jumped and he bounced over Ravan and he pulled his crown from his head and threw it away from the ground. So this is what Sugriva did in a fit of anger. And seeing that, Sugriva pulled out his crown and just threw it onto the ground and jumped on him. Ravan was getting so worried. Sugriva again started to jump upon him. And at that time, Ravan stopped him and he spoke a counter dialogue. He said, "Hey, you think you're Sugriva? You want to fight with me? With a fight with me, you're going to become Hinagriva. Hinagriva means one without a neck. Sugriva means beautiful neck." So he said, "If you fight with me, you'll become Hinagriva. Your neck will be turned off. It will be chopped off." So like this, Ravana, he challenges him and he picked up the Sugriva and he flung him to the ground with both his arms. Now bouncing like a ball, Sugriva again, he jumped up. He got up and he caught Ravan with his arms and he flung Ravan with his arms. So like this, Ravana and Sugriva, they carried out a duel with each other and they were breaking each other's limbs and their body was covered with blood and they were paralyzing the opponent's movements and they were hitting each other with heavy fists, blows of fists, slapping their hands and elbows to elbows, fists with fists, fingers with fingers. They were fighting and having a wrestling match. Again and again, they were falling on the floor and they were repeatedly getting up and bending their feet and again catching their opponent and smashing them on the ground and so on. And after a point in time, Ravan wanted to once for all finish off Sugriva. So Ravan, he decided that this guy is so difficult to handle. The Sugriva is so difficult to handle. So he decided to use magical warfare. So he decided that he will use his powers. So now one Ravana, because he was just not able to handle Sugriva's power. So one Ravana, he became many, 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 many Ravanas in the sky. So you've all seen these in those ancient television serials, right? Like all this demoniac warfare where all this magic happens. One person becomes 100 like that. So that one Ravana, he appeared like many Ravanas in the sky. And Sugriva got confused. He was like, "What's happening? Where is Ravan? He was trying to catch Ravan, but that was an illusory Ravan. Again, he jumped, he went to catch another Ravan. That was also an illusory Ravan. And Ravan was laughing in the sky. Ha, 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 ha. And it was so difficult for Sugriva to catch him. So then Sugriva, he decided, okay, this is enough for now. So then he shook off his arms and legs. He released his fatigue. Sometimes when you have done a lot of work, you just like to loosen your body. So like that, Sugriva, he released the stress in his body. He shook off his arms and legs. He released his fatigue. And then he just flew away. He just flew away in the opposite direction, back to the Savela mountain. And Ravan was baffled after all the magic he saw. Suddenly, this guy, he just flies away. And he was so baffled and he didn't understand anything. Why did the Sugriva come? Why did he appear? No, why did he disappear? He was totally confused. And Sugriva, he goes into the sky and he reaches the other side of Ram. Actually, in this place, the fight that is mentioned, it appears that Sugriva was more powerful than Ravan. Actually, Sugriva, we don't see him being so powerful where he's able to handle Ravana so heavily. And the commentators say it appears that Sugriva at this point in time had the Kanchanamala with him. That's why he was so powerful. And the opponent was not able to budge. I mean, opponent was not able to overpower him. And of course, that's the main reason why Ravan started using magical tricks. Because he thought that's the only way I can divert the Sugriva, because Sugriva was extremely powerful at this point in time. Okay, so now he thought, okay, this is not going to work. And he goes back to Mount Suvela, where Ramachandra was there. And now, when he landed in Mount Savela, Rama saw Sugriva and he was shocked. He saw marks of blood, scars on Sugriva's face. And Ram got really worried. He went and embraced Sugriva and he said, "What did you do? Where did you go? Who did you attack? Without consulting me, don't go like this anywhere." Because Sugriva, he immediately said that he was just so restless that he just wanted to go and attack Ravan. So Ramchandra said, "Don't do such things. You should follow correct protocols. You're a king. You're not ordinary monkey. You're the king of the Vanaras. Don't you know you should follow many protocols? You're so reckless. You're acting like an ordinary baby monkey. You're just jumping from one place to the other. What's all this? Behave like a king." We all got so anxious. What will happen to you? You're so important to us. So he tells Sugriva, don't do such things in the future. If anything can happen to you if you don't follow proper systematic approaches. If something had happened to you, then what is the use of this entire war for me? Even if I retrieve Sita or fight this war, what is the use of everything? I wouldn't find any happiness in anything. What is the use of Lakshman and me coming here, Bharata and Shatrughna sacrificing their lives? Everything will become useless if we, by any chance, lose you at any point in time. So he tells Sugriva, "You're extremely dear to me. You're very valorous. You're just like the sun god. But then, if you didn't return, I would have gone ahead and killed Ravana and the army. I would have installed Vibhishan as the king of Lanka. And I would not be sitting on the throne of Ayodhya. I would have placed Bharat on the throne of Ayodhya and I would have renounced my life." So Ramachandra said, "I would have done everything, but I would not take any happiness in acquiring the kingdom without a friend like you. I would have given up my kingdom and just gone and even given up my life." So Ramchandra was very, very serious when he was telling this. He was just not telling this some lip service. No, he really meant it. And hearing Ram's words, Sugriv said, "My dear Ram, the minute I saw that evil Ravan who had taken away your Sita, I just couldn't control my anger. My immediate instinct was that I wanted to go and attack him. What else can you expect from me? That's my nature. I was very impulsive. I couldn't control my anger." Then Lord Ram, he complimented Sugriva in various ways. He said, "Yes, you're a great friend. I know how much love you have for me. Yes, you're doing it out of extreme love and affection. But the point is, I don't want you to take any more risks for my sake." Okay, so with that, we will stop here. I know we are stopping 10 minutes early. That's okay. We will continue next session where it is the Ashtami Navami Tithi. And in the morning, actually, what happens is the first thing in the morning before the war commences, because from next week it's the war. But before the war commences, there is a protocol that to the a messenger should be sent declaring war. Okay. And even at that time, if the opponent party wants to call off the war, they still have the option to do so. So Angada is chosen as the messenger, and Angada would go as the messenger to Lanka, where Ram is getting, where Ravan is getting ready for the war in the morning, and he would try to check on the intentions of Ravan if he really wants to fight, or he can even call off the war at this point in time. So there is a very interesting section of how Angada reaches Lanka and the terror that Angada causes in Lanka and how he comes back and the war commences. I thought I'll do it today, but I didn't put the notes together. That section, it's quite interesting, but we'll do it slowly in the next class. Okay, so if you have any questions, comments, and realizations, please go.
Beautiful Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam. Wonderful class, Mataji, and a beautiful way of describing the whole uh, the preparation for battle and how even how Ravana looked and how the army. It was very interesting to hear that some of the Vanaras actually took human forms even while crossing the bridge. Was there any particular reason? Did they say why? Or was it just they just shape shift every
They just shape shift as needed. Sometimes they just need the human form. So
Okay, okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mataji, for the beautiful session.
thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Praladananda Prabhu.
Naman Pranam Mataji, very nice. I'm actually watching Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana along with these, and so many details I'm getting from your lectures because they have not completely followed Valmiki. They
Yeah,
have
they have
kind of
added.
like that. So this is becoming more interesting, like Mahaparsva and others. So many they have not bypassed so many details, but we are getting details from you, so we are thankful to you for giving us some good details. That way it makes a kind of composite view of Ramayana, and it's a very beautiful, really, along with the Sanskrit quotes and all that. That's a really good one. Thank you again, Mata.
Thank you, Praladananda Prabhu, for always being there with us and giving us lots of insights on each of these classes that we have. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Rachna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, so amazing, like all the detail. My God, really, like I've read once the Mahabharata and Ramayana both. So now when I'm reading it and then you are reading it so beautifully, it's amazing. Yeah, the details, and all this technical stuff, that is involved. That you're talking about the viewers and the arrangements of the armies and everything, all the details are so amazing. So yeah, I'm appreciating it a lot and really looking forward to more and more, so I like Prahladanand Prabhu is saying that, he's watching the television serial and yeah, it didn't have as much detail, but now in the Valmiki Ramayana, all the details, I'm telling you, I'm also amazed and impressed by the details. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your continued association, Mataji. You're always the first to join and very encouraging. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Okay. So if there are no other questions, comments, or realizations, we will wind up for today. Good, we finished even 5 minutes earlier. But next week we will start off the first day of war. First day of war is very sad because Ram and Lakshman are going to be, they're going to fall off, but we always have someone to rescue. And after all, he's Ram, he's the Supreme Lord, he knows how to come out of things. But anyway, we will go through our first day of war, hopefully tomorrow. And I think it was 7 days total. But first day, at least we will cover. First day or maybe 2 days, we'll see what we can cover. We'll start with the message of Angad, who's the messenger for starting the war. Okay. So with that, we will start the story and then we'll see first day of war.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Ki jai.
Sri Valmiki Ramayana ki jai. Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.